A very good evening to all of you. MLF is extremely pleased to invite you to this awareness session on Let Food Be Thy Medicine and Medicine Be Thy Food. I think all of us are extremely bombarded with all sorts of health tips these days. How much research or time do we actually put in to understand what's good for us and what's not? MLF is concluding a month-long nutrition campaign with our very own MLF member and nutritionist Pooja Agarwal. Pooja is the founder of Nutrition Redefined. She is a certified sports nutritionist and a fitness consultant. She is also a lecturer at the K11 School of Fitness Sciences. She has a track record of reversing lifestyle disorders such as obesity, PCOS, diabetes, Hashimoto, psoriasis, and high blood pressure. I have found Pooja's tips personally very useful. Thank you, Pooja, for sharing daily tips with us and concluding the entire month-long campaign with this webinar. I'm not going to take any more of your time and I'm going to give it straight to you, Pooja. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Snigdha. And I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to the MCCI President, Mr. Vivek Gupta, as well as Snigdha Shah, our chairperson of MLF, for giving me this lovely opportunity to be a part of, to be sharing my nutrition tips with all of you. And I would also like to thank each and every person who has taken out their time and, joined this webinar. So, we know that the topic which we have chosen today for today's webinar is food is thy medicine and medicine is thy food. So why have we chosen this topic is because I sincerely believe in this topic. I would just like to elaborate a little on the topic. So let me tell you that food is not just mere calories. Food is actually information to your genes. Okay, so we are learning from there's a lot of research happening in the field of nutrigenomics where we are learning that your food actually talks to the DNA and telling the DNA to switch the genes on and off that leads to health or disease. Every bite of food that you take into your mouth is actually regulating your hormones. It is regulating your immune system, your brain chemistry, your gut microbiome, as well as your gene expression. So what you eat actually programs your body with messages of health and illness. That is why today I firmly believe that food is thy medicine, but it actually depends upon you what you want to choose it as. So let me tell you that in the last 50 years or maybe more, we've seen a radical change in the way we have been eating food. It's become very processed. It's become more of refined food, refined carbohydrates and trans fat. So what has led to this? So I will take you through a brief history of what has happened actually. So in the year 1900s to 1950, America was witnessing a surge in heart attacks in the young people. So young men at the age of 40 and 45 years were experiencing heart disease, sudden tightening in the chest, and they were having heart attacks. And this became the primary cause of death in America at that time. So all these scientists and the researchers, they got into researching that what could be the possible cause of this heart attack. And I will not go into the details. It could be many factors, but they came to the hypothesis that it could be the fat in the food, the fat that they were eating that was clogging the arteries, blocking the arteries, leading to atherosclerosis, and that was the cause of heart disease. So a food pyramid was laid down by the FDA, directing the people how they should be eating. So you can see on your screen, this is the food pyramid which was laid down in the year 1980, encouraging the people to eat more servings of bread, cereals, rice and pasta, which they were not eating at that time. That was partly it was just a part of the diet, but not in this high proportions. They were mainly focusing on eggs, on fatty meat. But see, the food pyramid asked them to radically change the diet and have more of these cereals. And again, you can see that they encouraged eating more of fruits and vegetables. Now, in the early 1900s, this was not the way, you know, nutritional advices were given to eat more of fruits and vegetables. And then you can see at the top, at the tip, is the fats and the fats, oils, and the sweets. Yeah, sweets is fine, but fats and oils formed a major part of the American diet, which was pushed to the periphery because of the fear that this saturated fat was leading to heart diseases. Now, what happened as a result of this? As a result of this, there was a huge influx of carbohydrates in the market. So your supermarket shelves were flooded with variety of breads, cereals, breakfast cereals, pastas, and the like, biscuits, cakes. And apart from that, the saturated fat was replaced by the vegetable oils. Nobody had heard of these vegetable oils before that. Nobody was using these vegetable oils before that. But because saturated fat, that is ghee, butter, fatty meat, would be the cause, which contain cholesterol, would be the cause of heart disease, these oils came into the picture, and anything which was containing fat was just not selling in the market. So, you know, even now we can see that we also go and look for low fat things, you know, low fat butters, low fat milk. The trend is going on since 1980, since this food pyramid had been launched. So what happened? The eggs and the bacon and the fatty meat in the American diet was replaced by more of breads, more of breakfast cereals, more of noodles, more of pasta. And it doesn't stay over there, you know, that India is always replicating what the West eats or what the West follows. All the cultures are followed by us. So if I take you back to the Indian traditions, you would absolutely agree to me that your grandmothers or our great grandmothers always believed that ghee is a superfood. We always judge the quality of our milk by looking at the cream that comes on top of the milk after it is boiled, isn't it? But what happened? Not only that, post pregnancy women are actually fed a lot of ghee so that you know they can regain back their strength. So we actually believed in ghee to be a superfood, but because of this Food and Drug Administration, because of these food pyramid, we also started changing the way we eat. The ghee in the kitchens was replaced by these toxic oils. So now we are scared of eating ghee, cheese, butter, aren't we? All of us are. But we aren't scared of eating breads or, you know, pastas or pastries. We don't. But when we have to, if I ask you to just take a spoon of butter in your mouth, you would be really scared, won't you? So you may have your bread with your eggs, but you will not put the butter on your eggs. You may have 6 eggs, but you will throw away the 6 yolks, just have the egg whites. That is what this food pyramid brought to us. Don't do it. So what I'm trying to tell you is this is the radical change that happened, and ultimately see what happened. So you can look at this graph. Digda, can you show the graph? Yeah. So in 1980, post the dietary guidelines were introduced, you can see the steady graph rising. You know, this is the obesity graph, telling us how obesity increased post 1980 after the American guidelines were introduced. So, you know, the guidelines were a means to curtail down the heart diseases, to bring down the deaths due to heart diseases. But not only the heart diseases, obesity, diabetes, heart diseases, cancer, stroke, everything increased multiple times. And we are still following the same trend. Aren't we all still scared of eating the right fats? So let us look at the good fats and the fats to avoid. So the coconut oil, which is majorly used in South India for cooking, it was actually used that time in India, but so you must have seen the parachute oils. So because saturated fat was considered as a villain that time, what happened is that they started advertising it as a hair oil. You can still see on the bottle, it's written edible oil. They did not change the packaging, but they changed the advertising. because we people believe more in looking at the ads and buying stuff rather than reading the labels. So we can see, so what is actually good fat? So the coconut oils, the cold pressed coconut oils, ghee, butter, the extra virgin olive oils, the cold pressed mustard oils, palm oil, nuts, omega-3 fats, these have to be taken as supplements. The MCTs and nuts and seeds are falling into the good fats category, whereas what fats we are actually using right now. So we are using sunflower, safflower, canola, soybean, and safflower oils. These are absolutely toxic. And this is one of the major reasons for all the diseases. Trans fat, you must also be, remembering a time when we used to get dalda and dalda into our houses, and used to do our, a lot of cooking in dalda. So, it is a trans fat, and gradually we came to understand that dalda is actually very toxic. So we removed it from the kitchens. But right now your supermarket shelves are flooded with trans fat. All your bakery stuff, all your breads, all your biscuits, your breakfast cereals, whatever you buy in the grocery store, it has trans fat. And these people are very smart, you know. They don't write it as trans fat because people understand that trans fat is bad. It is given by different name, hydrogenated this, hydrogenated oil, hydrogenated this. And even sugar is mentioned with under at least 200 different names, which we don't understand. So, you know, maltodextrin, we have high fructose corn syrup, we have corn syrups, we have wheat malt, we have a lot of things. And eating these products have radically changed our life. You can actually recall during when you were young, did you eat so much snacks? Did you buy so many things from the supermarket and eat? Or did you even, we usually had 3 meals in a day, not more than that. We did not believe in snacks. I remember telling my mom after coming back from school that I need to eat something heavy. And she used to tell me, you'll mess up with your dinner. I will not give you anything heavy. So maybe a glass of milk was that all that was given to me post school. But now what do? We are feeding our children in the morning. We are giving them some mid-morning snack to school. Then they have their lunchtime in school. Post lunchtime, they come back, they have another snack. Or maybe if they are exercising or going for some sport, they have another snack, then their dinner time, and then comes their post-dinner something or the other. So we are constantly eating. So we will gradually understand that what is happening due to this, you know. So firstly, we are putting in trans fat, we are putting in polyunsaturated fatty acids, and we are putting in our bodies refined flours, which is one major cause of inflammation in the body. And further on, the frequency of the diet is another problem. So again, I would like to emphasize on the wheat flour. When we used to have the wheat, firstly, when we had the wheat which we used to eat was the full grain, you know, the full grain it used to be, so that, you know, that chakki ka atta. So we used to grind the entire grain. Now the wheat flour which you buy from the market, it is completely devoid of any nutrition. It is just the white flour. It is just the starch in it, refined starch, which just gushes into your blood as glucose and raises your blood glucose level. So now coming to what has happened because of this type of eating. Now you will see that in every family, whether it's small or big, you know, elders or youngsters, everybody is facing with some issue or the other. Somebody is having a constipation problem. Some teenager must be having some acne problems. Somebody must be having frequent headaches. Somebody is a diabetic. Somebody is having high blood pressure problems. And we think this is part and parcel of life, and it happens. And it's very easy for us to just pop in painkillers. We never associate this to the way we are eating food. So food is disrupting each and everything. As I told you, food is information. It is controlling your hormones. It is controlling the entire human body. So this is what has happened. Now let me tell you what happens. What is a traditional Indian diet? You know, from morning to evening, what do we actually eat? If I have to, I am not talking about everyone, I'm just talking about the general public. So we start in the morning, generally maybe with a sandwich or with a paratha, or maybe some poha, upma, or if people are conscious and they believe in taking breakfast cereals, or maybe eggs and bread. Coming on to mid morning, then we again have some fruits to snack into. Coming to lunch, again we have these chapatis or the rice and dal and the sabzis. Post evening, we again have some snacks, maybe, you know, some chana muri, or even the chana churs and the biscuits and the cookies. And again we have our dinner time. So we are constantly eating what? We are constantly eating carbohydrates, and that too defined carbohydrates. So if you're having breads, if you're having those chapatis, which are made from the wheat flour coming from the market, these are all coming under the category of refined carbohydrate. So what happens? Now this is a little complicated, and I would like to take, ask you to take a...
Pooja, just 1 second. I would just like to introduce Vivek ji. He needs no introduction on this forum, but thank you, Vivek ji, for joining our session today. It would be really nice if you would just address the group with your thoughts on this month-long campaign that we've had.
I'm so sorry for interrupting. I was trying to log in at 4, but there are multiple things happening. And I was, mesmerized by the information that was flowing in. I thought it would have been better if you had not interrupted, because I was just trying to absorb. And I hope, Pooja ji, that you give me this 5 minutes every day in the morning, especially, breakfast, lunch and dinner. I think you can prepare some 10-second video which we can do along with Hanuman Chalisa to remember this. Because when we sit on the table, we don't remember any of this. Then the transfer goes in just like that. But excellent. My full congratulations to Snigdha, Mansi and your entire team who is doing it. I've been getting great reviews. Please keep up the good work. The only reason I came here today was to wish you all of you. Pooja ji, एक request है खाली आपसे. थोड़ा हिंदी में कुछ, क्योंकि ये रिक्वेस्ट हमारे पास दूसरे ग्रुप्स में से, चैट्स में से आ रहा है, बीच-बीच में हिंदी का प्रयोग भी अगर कर सके तो कई लोग का, जहाँ क्योंकि हिंदी में कभी-कभी मामला बहुत टेक्निकल या एकदम स्ट्रेट लाइन हो जाता है, बीच-बीच में जितना हिंदी का प्रयोग कर सके तो वो थोड़ा सा it becomes easy for some of the audience to understand. That's all. Nothing else. Great doing. It's just a suggestion. Please only do it if you are comfortable. Otherwise, it's not a go. And I can see some comments on the chat. I would like to just read out one of them. Nice webinar from Sanjay, and kuch emojis which I can't decipher. But so I think we are not even 10-15 minutes and already people are complimenting. So I will take that as a huge and on behalf of the entire MCCI family, I will accept that compliment. Once again, thank you. Please continue.
Thank you, Vivek.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm really grateful to you. So where were we? Yeah. So talking about our foods, the way we eat our foods. So we saw that the entire day we were having just carbohydrates, more and more of carbohydrates, and that to processed carbohydrates. But do we need so much of food? We don't. So what happens now? This is a little technical. So if you want, I can explain this in Hindi and English mixed. So ये थोड़ा technical है. तो क्या होता है जब आप खाते हो? Suppose आज आपने खाई सैंडविच. आपने जब सैंडविच खाई, वो डाइजेस्ट होती है, और वो डाइजेस्ट होके ब्लड में, जब आप कोई भी कार्बोहाइड्रेट खाते हो, वो ब्लड में जाती है ग्लूकोज के रूप में. जब आपके ब्लड का ग्लूकोज बढ़ जाता है, सो वी ऑल नो दैट कि बॉडी हमेशा एक पैरामीटर के अंदर it tries to maintain itself within certain boundaries. So as soon as the blood glucose level rises above a certain level, तो आपके बॉडी में पैनक्रियाज है. पैनक्रियाज से इंसुलिन हार्मोन निकल के आता है, और इंसुलिन का काम क्या है? ये जो आपने खाना खाया है, आपने खाना इसीलिए खाया है क्योंकि आपकी बॉडी में ट्रिलियंस ऑफ सेल्स है जो पूरा टाइम काम कर रहे हैं, और इन सेल्स को एनर्जी चाहिए. तो ये ग्लूकोज को लेके जाता है आपके सेल्स तक. तो आप सोच सकते हो कि सेल के दरवाजे पे एक ताला लगा हुआ है, और इंसुलिन एक चाबी है जो चाबी के रूप में ताला खोलती है, और जब वो ताला खोलती है तो ग्लूकोज सेल के अंदर एंटर कर जाता है. So this is the purpose of insulin. अब क्या होता है, अगर आप मोटे हो, अगर आप डायबिटिक हो, अगर आपके फैटी लिवर है, अगर आपके हार्ट की कोई भी कंडीशन है, तो आप ये समझ लो कि यू आर एन इंसुलिन रेजिस्टेंट पर्सन. अब इंसुलिन रेजिस्टेंट का मतलब क्या होता है? तो अगर मैं मेरे को बहुत सर दर्द की तकलीफ है और मैं रोज एक पेन किलर खाती हूँ या हफ्ते में 2 बार 3 बार एक पेन किलर खाती हूँ, वो पेन किलर खाते खाते जब मुझे 2 साल हो जाते, 3 साल हो जाते, अब वो पेन किलर मेरे पे असर नहीं करती है, मुझे और पेन किलर चाहिए उस सर दर्द को मिटाने के लिए. दैट मीन्स आई बिकम रेजिस्टेंट टू दैट dosage of medication. In the same way, your cells also become resistant to insulin. वो चाबी से नहीं खुलते हैं. तब आपकी पैनक्रियाज क्या करती है, और चाबियां प्रोड्यूस करती है ताकि आपका सेल, क्योंकि उसको तो ब्लड ग्लूकोज मेंटेन करना है, नहीं तो आपको डायबिटीज हो जाएगी और बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. तो वो और चाबियां बनाता है आपका पैनक्रियाज. आप जब और चाबी बनाता है तो आपका सेल खुल जाता है और ग्लूकोज अंदर जाता है. बट प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है, आपके ब्लड में हमेशा इंसुलिन हाई रहता है. इस कंडीशन को हम बोलते हैं हाइपर इंसुलिनेमिया. जब आपकी बॉडी में क्यों हाई रहता है, क्योंकि आप कॉन्स्टेंटली खाते हो ना. क्योंकि हमें क्या एडवाइस मिली है, हर 2-2 घंटे पे खाओ. अभी ये खाया, फिर आपके फल का टाइम हो जाता है, फिर आपके लंच का टाइम हो जाता है, फिर पोस्ट लंच का टाइम हो जाता है, डेजर्ट्स का टाइम हो जाता है, जो मिलता है हम खाते हैं ना. सो आपकी बॉडी में ग्लूकोज हमेशा बढ़ा रहता है, इसी वजह से इंसुलिन बढ़ा रहता है. तो दिस इज कॉल्ड हाइपर इंसुलिनेमिया. एंड दिस कंडीशन, छोटे से काम करने के लिए अगर 1 यूनिट की जरूरत होती है, आपकी बॉडी में 10 यूनिट इंसुलिन सिक्रेट हो रहा है. So that is called insulin resistance. और आज let me make it very clear to all of you that diabetes and obesity are the same disease because इन दोनों का कारण एक ही है, insulin resistance. Their body is constantly high, hyperinsulinemia है आपकी बॉडी में. Insulin is produced more and more to do the same amount of work. अभी यहाँ पे इस फोटो में आप देख पा रहे हो कि आपका ब्लड, इसके कैलकुलेशंस में नहीं जाएंगे, आपका 5 लीटर का ब्लड सिर्फ 1 चम्मच चीनी, it can hold only 1 teaspoon of sugar. And if you're just having a slice of bread, you're giving it at least 15 to 20 grams of sugar. If you're having a bowl of rice, you're giving 30 to 40 grams of sugar. So just calculate the amount of sugar every time you're eating and you're giving into your blood, which needs to be metabolized, as a result of which your insulin is always high, leading to insulin resistance. Anyone who is suffering from any such problem, I would like you to go on research on insulin resistance. अभी जब मैंने आपको कारण बता दिया कि डायबिटीज और ओबेसिटी का कारण अगर इंसुलिन रेजिस्टेंस है, तो इलाज एकदम इजी है. आपको अपने आप को इंसुलिन सेंसिटिव बनाना है. अब इंसुलिन सेंसिटिव कैसे बनोगे आप? When you know that insulin resistance क्यों होता है, क्योंकि आपकी बॉडी में ग्लूकोज का लेवल ऑलवेज हाई है. ग्लूकोज क्यों हाई होता है? क्योंकि आप कॉन्स्टेंटली कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स खाते हो. तो अगर आपने कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स का क्वांटम कम कर दिया या आपने कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स की वैरायटी को चेंज कर दिया, इफ यू गो इनटू हैविंग मोर कॉम्प्लेक्स कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स, मोर ऑफ वेजिटेबल्स एंड फ्रूट्स, दे आर आल्सो फॉर्म ऑफ कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स, ऑटोमेटिकली ग्रेजुअली योर बॉडी विल बिकम इंसुलिन सेंसिटिव एंड यू विल रिवर्स योर डिजीजेस. So one main reason, insulin resistance is the main reason for diabetes and obesity, and also the main reason for your expanding waistlines, for your high blood pressure, for your high triglyceride levels, and a lot of metabolic, your fatty livers, your PCOS. Young girls are dealing with PCOS. Why? Because of so much of junk food which is easily available to them. So these are easily reversible as soon as you cut down on your carbohydrate intake. So जो हम लोगों को आज तक बताया गया है कि जिम ज्वाइन करो, जिम करो, एक्सरसाइज करो, आपका कैलोरी इन कम होना चाहिए, कैलोरी आउट बर्निंग ज्यादा होना चाहिए, these are all wrong concepts. It doesn't happen like that. Obesity is completely a hormonal disease related to insulin. So it is only when you make yourself insulin sensitive by cutting down on your carb intake, by eating in a proper way, that is how you're going to reverse your diseases. तो अब मुझे बताइए कि solution क्या है, तो हम खाएं क्या, कैसे कर सकते हैं? 2 चीज, इंसुलिन रेजिस्टेंस को कम करने के लिए आप 2 चीज कर सकते हो. फर्स्टली आप कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स को कम करो, और दूसरा चीज है फास्टिंग. Now, fasting के ऊपर अगर बात करने जाए तो it is one of the most ancient techniques of losing weight, and it is only in the last 30 to 50 years when these ये जो बड़ी बड़ी companies आ गए हैं और इन्होंने इतने सारे cereals और snacks they have created these snacks for us. They have actually advertise so much कि eat every 2 to 3 hours and snack between meals, and breakfast is the most important meal, that what happens is that we have lost the concept of fasting. We have actually lost it. Fasting is the simplest way to get your body in shape, not just lose weight, but even reverse your diseases. So हमने जो आज टॉपिक सेमिनार का टॉपिक we have chosen the topic as food is thy medicine and medicine is thy food is actually by Hippocrates, who is considered as the father of modern medicine. So Hippocrates long back during his time also realized that obesity is going to be, you know, one of the diseases in the future, and he had given a solution that time only, that you have to eat a high fat diet, which is low in carbohydrates, high in fat. You have to you have to exercise post your meals, and you need to eat only one meal in a day. That means you're fasting at least 20 to 24 hours. At that time, this guy, so that is why we still have so much of reverence for him, and we consider him, because he had predicted and he had already given us the solution long time back. And I would actually love to name many of such people and many of such scientists who have considered fasting as the best way you can actually keep in shape. And fasting it did not just helps you to reverse weight, but it has a lot of other benefits, which I think it is this seminar we will not be able to cover. So let's see what we have been told. So this is a thing showing about insulin resistance. So you can see that when you're eating more carbs, then what happens? Your body needs more insulin. Your pancreas releases more insulin, and you become less sensitive to insulin. And when you become less sensitive, again, your pancreas need to produce more insulin. So it's a vicious cycle. And this is called insulin resistance. And this is the cause of major diseases. 100%, 90% of all metabolic diseases is because of this. I would like to say 100%, but then I will be having somebody or the other who might not like this. But yes, it is 100% because of insulin resistance that we are facing all the metabolic disorders. Now, coming to what are the myths? What have we been told? Why are we eating like this? So see, PUFA oils are good for the heart. We have actually, when the FDA had introduced this food pyramid, they advertised these vegetable oils to be good for the heart. So as the name says, polyunsaturated fatty acids. So the carbon backbone is unsaturated. Unsaturated means on exposure to air, on exposure to heat, it gets oxidized, it gets rancid, it becomes toxic, and we are consuming this on a regular basis. And this is the advice which has to be, we actually don't go into researching. So, you know, if you look at the advertising, I think this will not play here, but you will see how the lady of the house, she tells her husband that, you know, she's giving her puris which are coming out in PUFA oils, and so she's taking care of her heart. So, you know, the truth is that these are highly toxic. So the main reason for cancer, for any thyroid issues, is actually these PUFA oils, highly inflammatory. Each and every cell of your body is made up of fat and protein. We are made up of trillions of cells. We are a collection of cells. So when we have to talk about health, we need to address this health to each and every cell. Your cell is made up of fats and protein. Now this fat, which is making up your cell membrane, if this fat gets oxidized, if you're eating this fat and it is going into making your cell membrane, this will get oxidized. When this gets oxidized, it is going to produce a lot of inflammation and a lot of free radicals. We've already spoken about this in our messages, but people who don't know. So one of the major reasons for disease is inflammation and this free radical attack that is happening because of the wrong foods that we are taking. Sugar, PUFA oils, two things. Next slide, Snigdha. So we've always been scared of eating butter, you know, but I would love to eat my butter, and I have completely stopped. Like past 2 years, I've understood this concept that it is not the dietary fat that is making you fat. It is the excess carbohydrates that convert and are stored as fat in your body. So this is absolutely a false thing. So please start eating your fats and cut down on your carbohydrates. The liver converts the extra carbohydrates to fat, which is stored in your fat cells. And this work is done by insulin. Now you have to understand insulin. We consider insulin, or the other name for insulin is a lipogenic hormone. Lipogenic, fat generator. This is the hormone which is standing like a gatekeeper outside your fat stores, not letting the fat to come out of your stores. So if you want to lose your fat, if you want to get healed, you need to cut down on your carb intake, which will automatically reduce your insulin levels, and the fat will start coming out of your fat stores. Next slide. So we've always been taught that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So suppose you have a child at home and you try to feed him, a young baby, a small baby, and you're trying to feed him a bottle of milk because it is breakfast time. You think the baby is going to drink milk as per your choice or as per your timings? It doesn't work like that. So we have lost our instincts. We have been blessed with hormones. So hormones telling us you're hungry, hormones telling us you're full, don't eat. So these are leptin and ghrelin, which actually tell you how much you need to eat, and you don't. So, you know, breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. You need to eat when you are hungry. You can't eat just according to your timings. Next slide. So yes, eat the whites and leave the yolk. That's what we've been doing. So even bodybuilders who are looking at gaining muscle mass have at least 20 eggs and 20 egg whites, maybe 10 egg whites, and throw away the egg yolks. But let me tell you, nature has designed egg to be a complete food. So you have the whites, which contain 3.5 grams of protein, and you have the eggs, which contain the other 3 grams of protein. And it is a combination of these amino acids that make it a complete protein. And moreover, all the vitamins, the good vitamins, all are present in the egg yolk. How can we just throw away the yolk? It is considered to be the superfood and nature's best superfood, and we're just doing anything at our wish. Nature wouldn't have designed it like this otherwise. So you eat the whole egg. Even if you're eating 3 eggs, just eat the whole egg. Don't be scared of eating fat. Next slide, Smita. So yeah, so the pharmaceutical company does not create cures. I am being too loud stating this, but it is the fact. So if I have to go to a doctor for my throat ache, he would give me a antibiotic, or he may give me a syrup. If I have constipation, he'll give me a laxative. If I have acidity, he'll give me an antacid. If my glucose levels are rising in the blood because I'm diabetic, he will give me a medication to reduce my blood glucose level. If I have high blood pressure, another medication for blood pressure. But do you think that each and every body part is different? Don't you think that you are a complete unit? That maybe something going wrong in your gut, something going wrong with the food you are taking might cause you headaches, might cause an infection in your throat. It's not that simple, you know. And everyone must be knowing this, that diabetes, they have given up hope. In fact, in spite of spending billions and billions of dollars on finding a cure for diabetes, we still don't have a cure. Ultimately, it's a painful death with organ failures when it comes to a diabetic person. When it comes to obesity, the only advice they have is, you know, eat less calories and burn more. And when it comes to, we don't have much time, but I would also like to give you the truth about antacids, how these are so dangerous, but we keep popping in antacids as, you know, candies. So the pharmaceutical company has made a, you know, they have made money on making us customers, and, you know, it's the whole pharmaceutical company is right there inside you. If you actually balance your hormones, eat the right food, exercise, you sleep on time, everything in life will fall in place. You don't need to, you know, go to any doctor. So now comes, so, you know, you can see this fat tanker. So this is a tanker. You must have known a tanker. It carries petrol from the oil fields and delivers it to the petrol pump. So tanker चाहिए तो आप देख रहे हो ये टैंकर जो फैट का टैंकर है ना, आप सोचो कि इसके अंदर पेट्रोल है और इसके नीचे आप छोटा सा टैंकर देख रहे हो जो मार्क्ड है डीजल. ये आपका इस टैंकर का खुद का फ्यूल टैंक है जो डीजल पे चलता है. अब इसमें इतना सारा पेट्रोल होने के बावजूद जब इसके छोटे से टैंकर का डीजल खत्म हो जाता है, इसको हर स्टॉप पे रुकना पड़ता है टू रिफ्यूल द डीजल, because it cannot use that petrol. In the same way, we are carrying so much of body fat. Each and every person, even a person who is at his ideal weight, has a minimum 15 to 20% of body fat. और हम उसको use नहीं कर पा रहे. हम कितने छोटे से ग्लाइकोजन टैंकर पे चल रहे हैं, जो हमारे लिवर में और मसल में छोटा सा एक ग्लाइकोजन टैंकर है, हम उसी के ऊपर चल रहे हैं. हम वो 2000 कैलोरी के डाइट पे ही चले जा रहे हैं, जिसमें वी हैव इमेंस अमाउंट ऑफ एनर्जी. सो पीपल कम एंड आस्क मी, यू आर गिविंग मी फास्टिंग व्हेन इट इज अ कोविड टाइम, विल आई नॉट बिकम वीक? मैं वीक हो जाऊंगा ना, फिर मेरे को जल्दी इन्फेक्शन हो जाएगा. सो लेट मी टेल यू, योर बॉडीज अडेप्ट, यू नो, इट कैन यूज दिस फैट टैंक ओनली व्हेन यू ईट लेस. will you be able to use this fat tank? Only when your insulin is less. जब वो दरवाजे से बॉडी का as a bodyguard, when he moves away from the fat stores, that is when the doors of your fat open. That is when you can use your fat. So the main thing again boils down to insulin resistance. So when you will be eating less carbohydrates, that is the time when you will be using. So this is a small picture where you can see कि ये person, he's an athlete maybe, and his body weight is just right 70 kgs, but still he is carrying 20% body fat. And total body fat matlab 20% matlab 14 kgs of body fat he has. Aapka 1 gram of fat gives you 9 kilocalories. That means 1 kilo of fat is giving you 9,000 kilocalories. If you start using this fat, you have a store of 1,26,000 kilocalories inside you, and you're depending upon that small glycogen store inside you. When will you be able to use this fat? Is only when your insulin levels are down. So now coming to the crux, that then what should we eat? I'm sure everyone wants to know कि हमें खाना क्या चाहिए. So this is fasting, which I've tried to bring out. So you can see fasting का F stands for fear. अरे मैं weak हो जाऊंगा, अरे इतना देर fast करना is not easy. So forget the fears. It's not difficult. Your body, you are evolved to fast. It has many advantages. You can just do it anytime. Say I had my breakfast and I didn't eat anything till dinner. I have been fasting. So just opposite of not eating is fasting. And it is highly therapeutic. So we can't go with, it could be an entire seminar on fasting. So let's not go into the details, but it is that simple. Next, do we have anything? So yeah, so now what should we eat? So sabse pehle, if you want to bring a change, sabse pehle you should do is stop all processed food. What is processed food? Anything which is coming in a packet, which is coming in a box, which has a nutrition label, which has ingredients written on it, is a processed food. Anything that's coming from the factory. Now eat whole foods, something which is grown in the ground. So you eat your vegetables, you eat your fruits. Now your biscuits and your cakes don't grow in the ground. So it's very simple to make a differentiation between what you should eat, a whole food, and you should avoid all the processed food. So processed food is coming with a lot of problems, with a lot of health issues. It's got high content of sugar and trans fat, which we need to understand. Even the gluten that we are trying to avoid. Now the wheat which we are using is being genetically modified, and in this modification, they modified the wheat because they wanted to they wanted this to be, you know, the yield to be more. So they always thinking in terms of business, you know. So they wanted more production, higher production, and they also wanted it to be pesticide, like, you know, to keep away the pests. And in the process, what they did is they increased the gluten content of the wheat. So that is the reason why we are having, or we are facing so much of, you know, irritable bowel syndrome, constipation, bloating, these issues because of wheat. So that is why if you have the whole wheat, but now you cannot even have, because these wheat are all, you know, wheat is completely processed. So wheat ka jitna bhi products hai, so you have dalia, you have suji, you have wheat. Anybody who is suffering from any sort of bloating, any sort of constipation, any sort of gut issue should completely avoid gluten products. Products made of wheat, barley and rye. Avoid sugar in all forms. So sugar, you have to understand that all carbohydrates ultimately are sugars. So you have to restrict your sugar intake, change your carbohydrates from simple to complex carbs, and extra जो ऊपर से आप sugar add करो उसको हर तरीके से restrict करो. If you're reading a label and you find some ingredient which you don't understand, which you're unable to comprehend or read, then please Google it or just avoid it, because it must be some form of sugar. Avoid all the refined grains. Eat a diet which is high in natural fats. So avocados, high in fats. Nuts, high in fats. Have olive oils, have coconut oils. We have now started prescribing coconut oils just like that, you know, for people who are lethargic, who don't have energy, who have thyroid problems. We just ask them to take a tablespoon of coconut oil first thing in the morning with a warm glass of warm water. it is the lack of fat that is causing a lot of problem in your body. So start adding good fats to your body, natural fats to your body. And it should be all, don't go into the refined oils. Even mustard oil, if you're using, it's good, but it should be coming from the unprocessed, unrefined oil. You have to balance your feeding with fasting. So yes, if you are, it used to be a natural process. Pehle, people used to be feeding and fasting. So even in many of our customs, we've seen that, post evening, they don't eat food and they eat food in the evening. So automatically they fast and feed. But now it's so much of food is available to us, and we don't have control. So it has to be forced feeding and fasting now. So everyone should take upon feeding and fasting. So you decide, maybe start with 12 hours of fasting and 12 hours of feeding, then increase your fasting time to 13 hours, then make it 14, and the ideal time should be 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of eating. And supplement with essential vitamins and minerals. So this is one thing which many people are resistant to. They don't want to have supplements, and they believe that the food which I am taking in is going to give me all these supplements. So I have just one answer which I tell everyone. So if you are having access to pure organic food which is grown in a nutrient dense soil, and it is totally unprocessed, unadulterated, there is no pesticide and nothing has been added, and moreover you are living in a stress-free environment, you're sleeping 9 hours a day, 8 to 9 hours in a day, your environment is unpolluted, everything is just perfect, then you don't need supplements. But I don't think such an ideal environment exists. So we all need supplements, especially each and every one of us need at least a multivitamin and a multivitamin every single day. Plus, apart from this, calcium, magnesium is very important. Vitamin D supplements are very important if you're low on your vitamin D, if you're low on your vitamin B12. And omega-3 fats is very, very important. Omega-3 fatty acids is very important. So make it clear, we need omega-3 and not omega-6 or omega-9. We just need omega-3 fats. So this is how I want to sum up with. Now it is completely your call whether you want to use food as a medicine or as a source of disease. Completely up to you.
Thank you, Pooja. You've spoken untiringly for the last 40 minutes. Thank you very much. So I would invite all our attendees to please, ask questions. Pooja is here. So please take advantage of this and ask all the questions. You may have something must have cropped up in your mind after hearing her. I'm just looking at the chat window to see. There's one question from Bonya Lahiri. What about rice bran yolk and what about rice bran oil? I think rice bran oil. Yeah.
The rice bran oil is also considered to be a good oil, but yeah, it should be the unrefined one. Rice bran oil is a MUFA oil. You can have the rice bran oil, but you should always look for the one which is unrefined.
So cold pressed is unrefined?
Yes, cold pressed is unrefined. Refining may they use some chemicals, and the actual texture of the oil changes.
Okay.
So yes.
Another question from Rajamani. Is fasting possible for a diabetic person?
Yes. Actually, if a diabetic person takes to fasting, then he's going to improve his diabetes. But the main problem is that if you are on a high carbohydrate diet, then what happens is you feel hungry again and again. But as soon as you go on a high fat diet, what happens is your body, you don't feel hungry, you feel satiety, and you can do the fast. So it's very easy for a person who is on a high fat diet to do the fast. So first and foremost thing, we bring a patient from, we cut down on his carb intake, because as we understood, diabetes and obesity, the main problem is insulin resistance. So we actually cut down on the carb intake to make him insulin sensitive. And then we gradually increase the fasting period. And yes, it is very easy for a person to fast on diabetes, and that will increase his healing time also. We've actually reversed a lot of diabetes cases also.
Great. I think there's the next one you've spoken about, but if you would like to add something, this is from Sanjay Mittal. Please clear myths around taking supplements and please suggest actual names if possible.
That's going to, that's going to be a huge topic. So yes, it's not possible right now.
Yes.
But yeah.
I think you did cover some part of it. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Falguni Shah asks, is canola oil unhealthy?
Absolutely unhealthy. It's absolutely unhealthy. It's a mixture of two oils, and it's a PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acid. Absolutely unhealthy, not to be used.
Okay. Prakash ji asks, natural products for omega-3, please suggest.
So we have walnuts and we have flax seeds also, but the content of omega-3 is very less. So I would advise we should not depend upon this. You add these to your diet definitely, but you should take a supplement on a regular basis.
Preeti asks, why are omega-6 and 9 not necessary?
So omega-6 is also an essential fatty acids. That is, what do you understand by the term essential in nutrition is that something which is required by the body, but something the body cannot produce. So you need to take it externally. So omega-6 and omega-3 are two different parts of the same coin. You know, both are important. So one produces inflammation and the other reduces inflammation. But we are already taking so much of, you know, vegetable oils and the grains, which is already giving us a lot of omega-6. So we already disturbing the ratio. It has to be in the ratio 1:1. आपको चोट लग जाती है तो इन्फ्लेमेशन होता है, उस इन्फ्लेमेशन को ठीक करने के लिए आपको omega-3 चाहिए. Omega-6 produces inflammation, omega-3 cures inflammation. So omega-3 is important because you're already taking a lot of inflammatory, you're already taking grains, you're already taking vegetable oil, so it's already going inside you. You don't need to supplement. And omega-9 is actually produced in the body. It is not an essential fatty acids, so you don't need to take that.
Okay, Meenu Lohani ji asks, is having white rice khichdi with lot of vegetables okay?
Yeah, see, if we are a vegetarian, we should always try to combine the cereal with the pulses, because then that gives you a complete amino acid profile. So protein may we have certain grains which are lacking in certain amino acid, and we have the pulses which are lacking in certain, you know, the essential amino acids. And when we combine the two, then you get the complete profile of amino acid. But let me tell you once again that you are getting the complete profile of amino acid from a dal chawal and khichdi. You are, but that is just the bare minimum. It's, you need to go, you need to supplement your body. So 1 gram of protein per kg body weight is what the government is advising to each and every one. And we as vegetarians are already very low in our proteins. So you need to add more proteins to your diet apart from this khichdi. And khichdi is a good thing to have, right?
Okay. I think this is done. Can Hashimoto's be reversed? All thyroid doctors I have seen do not have any solution.
Yes, Hashimoto's is absolutely reversible, and Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disease. That means your body, so we have immune system. The immune system is attacking your own thyroid cells. That is called Hashimoto's. So it is an autoimmune disease. It is happening because you're having the wrong sort of foods, because there is inflammation inside the body. So as soon as you have anti-inflammatory foods and you give proper supplements to your body, which your body is deficient in, automatically it reverses, and have actually reversed Hashimoto's with one of my clients.
Okay, Preeti Sachdeva ji asks, how to calculate calorie intake since every app has different calories for chapati. One app says chapati has 80 and one says 120.
So Preeti, another thing which I have already brought to your forefront is we don't need to calculate our calories. We are not supposed to measure and eat our food. You know, we have the hunger and satiety hormones telling us, bas ho gaya aur mat khao. So don't go by the app, listen to your hormones and eat the way you want. The calorie in and calorie concept doesn't work. A few days, maybe you'll be able to follow, but then it ultimately doesn't work. And I'm totally against it. So I'm sorry, I won't be able to guide you, but I don't believe in this concept only.
Dr. Shilpa asks, is palm oil good?
Yes, palm oil, if it is coming from the right source, and if it is unprocessed, it is good. Yes, it is a saturated fat.
Preeti Sachdeva ji asks, is coconut oil healthy? I think you've spoken about this.
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah. It is, yeah. Absolutely.
Dr. Mamta Binani, in fasting, we eat one meal. Should we do that or do absolute fasting?
See, it depends upon you. There are people who go on prolonged fast also. So there are people who go on 3-day fast. There are people who go on 1 month fast. But it depends about how much fat content do you already have in your body. So a person who is already in the, right, you are within your fat percentage and you don't have too much to lose, then don't go for these elongated fasts. Just do 16-8 fast is good for everyone. But if you have a lot to lose, if you are really sick, then you can go for these elongated fast, but you have to take care that you're supplementing your electrolytes, which is very important. So salt and water is something which you need to take during your fast. So it depends upon person to person.
Okay. Bhavin Shahji asks, is avocados really healthy?
Avocados are the healthiest food and one of the best foods. Yeah, it is.
From Rajamaniji, can you suggest a diet plan for thyroid?
See, another thing I would like to point out here is you have to understand all animals eat the same way, don't they? So it's a cow eats grass, a lion eats meat. So, all humans, the food which is good for me is good for you. Yeah, we definitely play around with the quantum and we play around with the supplements, but the food which is good for you and me is good for everyone. So you have to understand what is bad for everyone is bad for everyone, because we are a species, and something which is bad for one person will be bad for the other person also.
Please suggest a diet for eczema. Is it curable? Neeraj Surana ji.
Yeah, so I will share with you about my husband who was suffering from psoriasis for last 10 years. He was on steroids, and he had actually left his steroids because he was done with it. And he had a huge, it was a huge problem. And believe me, just changing his diet and medications, like adding on proper supplements, in 4 months, his 10 years long psoriasis had gone. He had stopped his blood pressure medications, and he had lost 14 kgs without exercising. He had got a back sprain. He had got a back sprain. So he was almost on the bed, just going to office and coming back. He lost 14 kgs and his psoriasis absolutely reversed. So yes, it is absolutely reversible. We don't promise anything because, every body has different toxic levels and every body functions in a different way. But if you are having anti-inflammatory foods, if you're having the right, so high fat diet is actually anti-inflammatory, and any form of glucose in the body causes inflammation. So when you take anti-inflammatory foods, the body starts healing and everything starts reversing.
Okay. We have a COVID warrior, Dr. Yasmin Khan. I'm working as a doctor in charge in COVID care centers at night. Can you please advise me the immunity booster diet or supplements?
So as I told you, cut down on your sugars and eat good quality fats. That is when it comes to your, and eat good protein, first class proteins. That comes to your diet part. And when it comes to your supplements, you have to take care that your vitamin D levels are at a good level. Your B vitamins, you're taking your B vitamins or B complex regularly. Your zinc and vitamin C are very important when it comes to your immunity. So a zinc supplement and a vitamin C supplement, at least 2 grams of vitamin C every day is a must. Not just for you because you're a doctor, each and every one of us. And I'm glad that this COVID has actually, highlighted the importance of your immune system, because when I used to prescribe these supplements to people and they used to ask me, "Itni sari dawai de rahe ho aap?" So I'm glad, that people have started realizing the importance of these supplements.
Yes. Sanjay Gupta ji asks, what is a good source of veg protein and vitamin D?
So vegetarian sources of protein, we don't have much. So we have milk and milk products, which are good sources of protein for the vegetarians. And second class protein, if you go, then we have the dals and we have the chola rajmas and these stuff. And we have these sprouts. This is all that we have in the vegetarian sources. We don't have much. I don't recommend having soy protein also. So that doesn't stand here. So this is all that we have. So I would always recommend that if you are not able to, so you add protein sources to each and every meal. But if you're not able to, make up for your protein sources, then do take supplements. And we have good supplements, we have good whey protein isolate, which is available in the market, which can make up for your protein intake. Easy to digest also.
Okay. Preeti Sachdeva ji asks, are protein powders safe to consume, like the Ozaiva herbs for her?
Yes. My two girls are having protein powders, and my elder daughter is studying in a hostel. So I make sure, because I don't know what she'll be eating throughout the day. So I make sure that I give her, at least she's taking 1 scoop of whey protein on a regular basis, and I provide her with all the nuts and seeds. Apart from that, whatever she manages to eat, it's okay. But these two things are compulsory. So absolutely okay for anyone.
Okay. There are two linked questions. Which foods are good for menopause time, and anything specific for women above 40? Vaijanti ji and Rajmani ji.
There is nothing like good food for anyone above 40. You need to maintain, you need to exercise, because as you grow old, your muscles start, drooping. So you need to provide the good vitamin sources, you need to exercise, and you need to supplement your diet with calcium. Calcium supplements we start at the age of 30 only. But if you're 40 and if you've not been taking, so calcium is one of the very important supplements which you need to add to your diet.
Pooja ji, we'll take another 5-7 minutes. There are quite a few questions, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Fasting is good, but if one tries to practice it regularly, does it slow down the metabolism? Preeta Mukherjee.
Yeah, so this is one question which crops up, but the body is very smart. If the metabolism would have slowed down, then a hunter-gatherers who did not get food most of the time. So you understand, hunter-gatherers, when they used to feel hungry, they used to hunt for food, and it could be 2 days, 3 days that they wouldn't get food. If their metabolism would slow down, then at the end of 4th day, they wouldn't have been able to hunt only. They would have just lied down. They couldn't get up also. So it doesn't happen like that. So your metabolism, in fact, increases when you're fasting, and your growth hormone inside your body actually rises. So we can take a full lecture on this later sometime, but it is absolutely wrong. Metabolism slows down when you're on a calorie deficit diet, but not when you're fasting.
Please suggest a food plan for a 65-year diabetic patient. I think diabetes you've covered. If you would like to share anything more.
Not possible right now here, but yes, a combination of good supplements. So let me tell you, diabetes is a very debilitating disease. Like each and every organ of yours get affected, mainly your nerves. So your blood is gushing, your sugar is gushing through your blood. And then the main problem that happens is that, you lose sensations in your hands and your legs. And that could be a major problem. So we have very important supplements which we give to our diabetes, so that the antioxidants, high antioxidants are required. So it is more of cutting down on your carbs and supplementing your food in the right way that will not lead to the organ damage or the amputations or and in fact, I don't know, she's 65. I had a client who was 68, and in 3 days with the right food and supplements, we stopped his medication only. So the doctor was also surprised because he had to cut down on his medication, and he's still following the diet. So it has to be a combination of the food and diet, which is not possible for me to give it to you here. You just have to understand that it is insulin resistance. So you need to cut down on the carb intake as much as possible. Increase the proteins.
Okay. Mr. Das says, is soya bean oil good?
No. Again, it is a polyunsaturated fatty acid. It is absolutely not good.
Preeti ji asks, please guide, is white sugar good to consume, or can we replace it with jaggery?
So the source of the sugar is the same. It's sugarcane, whether it's white sugar or whether it's jaggery. Yes, jaggery is unprocessed, as I told you. So it is a little better than the white sugar, but ultimately it is converting to glucose in your blood, and it is raising your blood glucose level. So yeah, it has a little bit of iron in it, and it is a little better source than sugar if you're comparing it to sugar. But ultimately your body recognizes it as sugar or glucose. So people, do this. They switch over to having jaggery and they think that I'm having the right sort of food. Or they switch over to having honey and they believe that, this will not do me harm. But ultimately, it doesn't work like that. So it's one and the same thing.
Dr. Shilpa asks, high-fat diet is also keto diet. Any comments?
I will not comment on this because we don't use this word keto because it is used as a slang these days, but the concept is the same. And let me also introduce you to the word keto. Keto is coming from the word ketogenesis, the process that is happening in your body. So if you're fasting and when your blood glucose levels are low when you're fasting, then your fat stores come out. Your fat stores release fatty acids, and it releases ketone bodies. And this process of ketone formation is called ketogenesis. So it's a very natural process that is happening every time you are on a fast. Maybe the night fast, when we don't eat, your ketone bodies are produced. So, you know, people don't understand the concept and they use it in a very wrong way. So I will actually not use this word keto, but yes, it is a high fat diet, and it is a high fat diet only.
What can we take for better joint and bones post 40, Vaijayanti ji?
So we have a whole supplements for bones. So it's a combination. So if you just take calcium and if your vitamin D levels are low, that calcium will not be absorbed into your body. And if the calcium is absorbed into your body, it needs to be directed to your bones. So we need to take a combination, and magnesium is also part of your bones. So calcium, magnesium, vitamin D and vitamin K, proper dosage of this makes up your entire supplementation for your bones.
Okay. Just a second. I'm just putting in my email ID for anyone's question whom we miss out, in case, you know, because there are lots of questions. Seema Agarwal ji asks, is virgin groundnut oil okay to have?
Groundnut oil is again a PUFA oil. So whether virgin or not virgin, it's not good.
Can you please share? Okay, someone has asked for the recording. My daughters age 5 and 12 are more likely to eat carbohydrates. How to manage that? Seema Agarwal.
Let the children have the carbohydrates, but make it in the complex form. Give them a good amount of, you know, give them more of fruits and vegetables, and give them red rice. Try to change the carbohydrates. Try to go into the more complex variety. You can give them millets. You can add besan. You can add ragi. You can add jawar. You can add bajra. Instead of giving those chapatis and white rice, you can just alter or change the composition. Even it works for each and every one of us. So instead of having those chapatis and white rice, you just change the complex carbohydrates into having ragi and cut it down, no? Because if you're having more of carbs, you will not be able to take in good quality protein and fats, because your hunger or your stomach is that size only. So you have to have a balance of everything. So yes, you can't don't stop carbs for children. Just alter the what you're giving, just change it into a complex carb.
Dr. Shilpa says milk is not good, right? They say veganism is a better approach. So what are your views?
See, it depends on person to person, but what I feel is we have the only source of protein that we have as vegetarians is milk. And if we do away with that source also, then we will go very low on our protein intake. Another thing is that why people are saying that milk is not good is because the cows which are bred these days are fed with corn and soya. They're giving hormones, and they're not the grass-fed cows. And they've been injected with hormones to increase the production of milk with growth hormones, which is then coming into the milk. And that is the reason why if you go back to your ancient times, didn't our ancestors drink a lot of milk? So milk has become polluted. That is the reason why people are saying that milk is not good. But if you can procure your milk from the right sources, so we have our organic farms and we have our cows, you know, and we really love our cows and we really take care of them, and they're all grass fed. So if you can procure your sources of vegetables, your milk from the right source, milk is absolutely required by a, you know, vegetarian. It's absolutely important, especially if you have children. You must have heard in US, if a family is vegan, the government takes away the children because it stunts the growth of the child, because you're not able to provide protein to the child, and protein is very important for growth. So yes, milk is very important, but it has to be from the right source.
Okay, we'll just take the last two questions. Pumpkin seeds and flax seeds, should they be eaten raw, or do they lose anything if they're roasted?
No, they don't lose anything. You can eat them the way you like. You can crush them, you can roast them, you can add it to your shakes, or you can just have them raw. It's perfect.
And which protein powder would you suggest, Misha Ghai?
So I generally suggest a whey protein isolate. because concentrate has more carbs in it, and I don't want anybody who is going into a anti-inflammatory diet to increase the carb intake. So we suggest a whey protein isolate. Now whey protein isolate comes in various brands and various flavors, so you can choose amongst which you want.
Great. Thank you, Pooja. Over to you, Mansi.
Thank you, Pooja ji, for this session. It was mind-blowing. I mean, there were so many things that were going on constantly in my head, and you were just answering everything that was coming to my head. And I think it was very informative, and everybody's taken back a lot from this webinar of ours, and people have even asked questions. Yes, so my question also for today, Pooja ji, would be, since you said soy was not all that great compared to milk, but what about tofu and paneer? There's a lot of thing going on that tofu is much better than paneer. Could you answer that question for me as well, please?
It is again the vegan lobby which is trying to promote soy protein, because soy protein is much better than the dals. Matlab, it has a higher protein content than the other dals, the other pulses. So now, because veganism is becoming so popular and they want to bring up something, as a protein source for veganism, so they're promoting more of tofu and soybean. But soybean is actually very harmful, especially for people who have any sort of hormonal issues. Soybean is absolutely a no-no for them. So if a person is absolute normal and taking some amount of soybean, it would not cause much of a harm. But we actually don't recommend this to people. We absolutely don't recommend.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this session. Thank you for this session. And I would also like to thank all the participants who've taken out so much time and attended this session today. And Pooja ji, hopefully we'll have another session with you. And one thing that comes to my mind is on one of our sessions with Manjari Agarwal, she said, people are so particular about what they put on their face. You would actually read the contents of what is there in your face powder and what is there in your cream. But after today's session, I'm just wondering, there's so much we put into our system. We just keep putting things into our system without even realizing what we're putting in. And we've had an entire month of every day we had these small messages which Pooja ji would give us, that some good information, that this is good for health, that is good for health. And I think we've just taken back so much information, and hopefully, yes, as Pooja ji said, this was the time where people actually started thinking about their immune system because of COVID. So hopefully this is an entire generation that is going to just take health to another level, and hope we have lesser and lesser of cases of diabetes and some self-inflicted diseases in the future. So thank you so much, Pooja ji, again. Thank you, Snigdha. And thank you, the entire audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pooja.
Thank you to